Sue Cox.
And you run an organisation for...
Yes, I teach a particular formula treatment for substance misuse. So I'm an acupuncturist, but I also teach the neuroscience of addiction. So I work in 112 UK prisons, lots of NHS services, the military mental health. So I'm head of quite a big organisation.
And it's called?
Smart UK.
Could you just tell us your story, please?
Oh, well, I'm 63. I was brought up in I was adopted. I was brought up in a very fiercely Catholic family. Everything was about fear. My mum had several sisters. I remember when I was a very small child being told to pray for a cousin of mine to die. I was 5. And the reason for that was that this cousin of mine was about to embark upon marriage to a divorcee. And his mother was told by his Catholic priest that he would be better off dead than living in sin. Now, as a 5-year-old, I remember thinking how awfully scary it was. So I grew up hoping that nobody would be praying for me to die. When I was first abused by a priest when I was 10, the night before my confirmation, I thought that that was what was happening. I was starting to be a martyr. I was very naive. I thought that this was what was expected of me, and I was obviously sinful and guilty, and that's why it was happening. When I was raped thereafter, I still had this sense of unworthiness. Why was I being picked out? I wasn't being picked out because I was the prettiest around. I was picked out because I was vulnerable. I was like a wildebeest. I was on the periphery of things, and I was easy prey. My experience is that churches these paedophiles don't have to groom children like me because the church is already doing it for them. My family, my fanatical, fear-filled family, who told me that every time a priest crossed my doorstep it was a blessing, they could not deal with the reality of what was happening, and so therefore I became sacrificial.
Did you tell them?
I tried. I wasn't allowed to talk about it. My mother said just to pray for this priest, so no, we didn't have the language. So I was left alone with it, which is why I took the course in everything else to try and survive.
It ruined your life, didn't it?
It ruined the first part of my life. I am a survivor. I'm a survivor because I'm an addict. Addicts are survivors. We have to be, otherwise we would not survive king alcohol and queen cocaine. So I have had to learn to be a survivor. So I'm damned if I'll be a victim of the church again. It keeps me in that bedroom being raped by a fat, sweaty, smelly, inadequate paedophile.
Now, calling for amends to be made mirrors the language of recovery. But before they can do that, they have to take the first step, don't they? And admit that they are powerless over what has happened.
Absolutely.
Do you think they're close to doing that?
Certainly not. They're narcissists. It's very difficult. It's a narcissistic organisation. You know, as a therapist, there are certain tick boxes for narcissism. One of them is haughtiness, grandiosity, inability to recognise your own faults, being very angry and feral if thwarted. So they tick all the boxes. Very difficult to deal with narcissism.
So what's the answer? What can be done then, especially while the Pope's here this week?
Well, it's like a gigantic petri dish with agar jelly in it of narcissism and cover-ups and things like that. You put a paedophile in that and it will fester. I suggest we throw the agar jelly away.